The demonic world has left more than a few people with the creeps. Movies like The Exorcist and The Shining and the Amityville Horror have helped reinforce people's greatest fears about these evil spirit beings. While there certainly is demonic activity going on in our world today, it appears there will be an increase of it in the end times, and it will manifest itself in visible ways. Take a look at Revelation 12, verses 1 through 6. And a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. She was pregnant and was crying out in birth pains and the agony of giving birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his heads 7 diadems. His tail swept down a third of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth, so that when she bore her child, he might devour her. She gave birth to a male child, one who is to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. But her child was caught up to God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, in which she is to be nourished for 1,260 days. Now, there's a lot going on here. So let me break down the different characters mentioned here during the last 3.5 years of the tribulation. The woman is referring to the nation Israel. The great red dragon represents Satan, and the child represents Jesus Christ. So what in the world is going on here? Well, it's a brief history of Satan trying to destroy God's chosen people Israel and his son, Jesus. In verses 1 through 4, we see that 1/3 of all the angels joined Satan in his rebellion against God. Satan was the highest of all angels, the anointed cherub, the most beautiful of all God's creation, according to Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28. When Jesus was ready to be born, Satan tried to use King Herod to have him killed. But as we know, he was unsuccessful. But in verse 5, it does say that the child was caught up to God and to his throne, which means Jesus did die, but he defeated death and went to the Father. And the passage says, will one day rule all the nations. But before all that happens, the nation Israel will have to go through intense persecution during the last 3.5 years of the tribulation. But they will come through it. What I want us to notice is that Satan fails ultimately at every attempt. And that's a great reminder, because when we encounter demonic activity in some shape or form, it can be unsettling. But remember, Satan has no power over us unless we give it to him. The power of God trumps the power of this world every time. Let's live in the victory that Jesus secured for us when he defeated death. May we live fearlessly because Jesus has given us all the power we need to be victorious. May we not give Satan a foothold in our lives. Amen.